I always thought starting a family was supposed to be the happiest time in a man's life, but for me it turned into the darkest fucking nightmare. My wife, Claire, had been glowing ever since she announced she was pregnant. She made Pinterest boards for nurseries, she dragged me to baby stores, she cried at ultrasound appointments, and everyone around us kept saying how lucky I was to have her. I smiled, I played the part of the excited dad-to-be, but deep down something felt off. It started with the timing. She told me she was pregnant about 2 months after we had a huge fight and didn't talk for nearly a week. During that time she was staying with a friend. I didn't think much of it then, but once the pregnancy news hit, the math didn't sit right in my head. Still, I tried to ignore it, telling myself I was paranoid, until the small things started piling up. She guarded her phone like it was a fucking nuke. Late-night messages, her smiling at texts she never shared. When I asked she'd snap, "You're being controlling, it's just my friends checking in." One night I caught a glimpse of a name flashing across the screen. Matt. My stomach dropped because Matt wasn't just some random guy, he was her coworker, the one she always swore was just a friend. I wanted to brush it off, but then she slipped. We were at dinner with her parents, they were over the moon about being grandparents, and her mom asked me what I thought the baby would look like. I laughed and said, "Hopefully a mix of both of us," and Claire suddenly went pale, avoided my eyes and said, "Yeah, hopefully." That "hopefully" rang in my head like a gunshot. That night, while she showered, I checked her planner where she jotted everything down. Right there in black ink was a date circled with a heart, almost exactly around the time she claimed to be with her friend after our fight. My blood turned to ice. I couldn't shake the thought, what if this baby wasn't mine? I didn't sleep, just lay awake staring at her belly as she slept peacefully beside me, my mind screaming. The next day I called a private clinic, asked about paternity testing during pregnancy. They told me it was possible with a simple blood test comparing my DNA to hers and the baby's. I booked it immediately, told Claire it was just a regular checkup and she didn't question it. A week later the results came in, and when I opened that envelope my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The words burned into my skull, 0% probability of paternity. The baby wasn't mine. My vision blurred, I thought I was going to pass out, my chest pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My wife, the woman I loved, was carrying another man's child, and she had the audacity to smile in my face every day, planning nurseries and baby showers like I was some fucking idiot. I sat there gripping the paper, tears of rage in my eyes, and in that moment I swore I wouldn't just walk away, I was going to burn her whole fucking lie to the ground. The second I read those results I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. I sat in my car outside the clinic for almost an hour just gripping the steering wheel, staring at the envelope like maybe if I blinked enough times the words would change. But they didn't. 0%. Not mine. Every laugh, every kiss, every "I love you" from Claire suddenly replayed in my head like poison. And the worst part? She didn't even look guilty. She was at home planning our baby shower, calling her friends, making lists, humming nursery rhymes while I was choking on the truth. When I walked through the door that evening she kissed me, pressed my hand against her stomach and said, "He kicked today. Want to feel?" I almost vomited. I forced a smile and said, "Of course." But inside my head I was screaming, "That's not my kid. That's his." I didn't know what to do, part of me wanted to confront her right there, throw the papers in her face, watch her fake little world crumble. But another part of me wanted more. Proof. Ammunition. If I confronted her too soon, she'd cry, she'd spin some story, maybe even gaslight me into staying. I wasn't going to give her that chance. So I started digging. First her phone. I waited until she fell asleep, slipped it out from under her pillow and scrolled. Messages were mostly clean, but then I found a hidden folder in her gallery, and my blood boiled. Pictures. Selfies of her with Matt, nothing sexual but too close, too fucking cozy, and one shot of her hand on his chest, his arm wrapped around her waist. The timestamp? Exactly the week she stayed with a friend. I clenched my teeth so hard I thought they'd crack. I wanted to smash the phone, wake her up, demand the truth, but instead I put it back carefully, lay beside her, and stared at the ceiling until sunrise. The next day I met with my buddy Chris, told him everything. He nearly spit his beer out. "Bro, you're telling me she's pregnant with another man's kid and she hasn't said a word?" I nodded, jaw tight, hands trembling. "Jesus Christ," he muttered, "what are you gonna do?" I told him the only thing I could think of, I'm going to bury her with the truth. We spent hours talking it through, how to get undeniable evidence. He suggested confronting Matt, but I wasn't ready. If I tipped my hand too early, Claire might twist it all back on me. No, I needed something bigger, something public. And then it hit me, the baby shower. Claire had been planning it for weeks, inviting all our friends, both families, co-workers. It was supposed to be this magical day where everyone celebrated our future. What better place to tear the mask off and show the world the real Claire? The idea lit a fire in me, gave me focus. From that moment on, I played my role perfectly. I smiled, I rubbed her back when she complained about the weight, I held her hand at doctor's visits. I was the picture-perfect husband, while behind the scenes I was collecting everything. The test results, the photos, the timeline. I even set up a small recorder in her car, hidden under the passenger seat just in case she ever slipped up on the phone. Every day I played my part, and every night I dreamed of the look on her face when I pulled the rug out from under her. She thought she was clever, thought she could play me for a fool, but she had no idea I already knew everything. And as the baby shower crept closer, I could feel the storm inside me building. She wanted to celebrate a lie, but I was going to turn her celebration into a fucking funeral for her perfect little facade. I spent the week before the baby shower playing the perfect husband while building a case that would make a courtroom jealous, and every time Claire called me babe, I had to swallow the urge to say, "Tell Matt that," but I kept smiling and kept collecting because if I was going to end this, I wanted it airtight. First move was the recorder in her car. On Tuesday it finally paid off. She called someone on speaker, and as soon as I heard his voice my skin crawled. "Hey," she said, cheerful as hell, "he loved the crib photos, I think he's going for the gray one." Matt laughed and said, "As long as he pays for it." I gripped my desk so hard my knuckles popped. Then Claire dropped the line that locked it in, "After the shower I'll talk to him about boundaries, it's time." He's excited, he thinks it's his. There was a pause, a sigh from Matt, and then, "Claire, if he asks for another test," she cut him off. "He won't. He's not that type." I smiled at the recorder like a psycho and whispered, "Surprise, I am." That night I pulled her phone while she showered and finally cracked the passcode. She changed it from her birthday to our anniversary because irony is her favorite flavor. Messages with Matt were mostly cleaned up, but she forgot her photo cache in notes. There were screenshots of them at a bar, his hand low on her back, a mirror selfie in a hotel lobby, her caption, "Bad idea, good night." Dates lined up exactly with the week she had space at a friend's. I copied everything, put the phone back, then went to the nursery in progress and stared at the half-built crib she'd saved for us to assemble together. I whispered, "We'll build it, all right? We'll build your funeral." Wednesday I did something petty but necessary. I made a fake email address with Matt's name and sent a polite RSVP to the shower invite, looking forward to celebrating with the team. Claire saw the notification pop up later and squealed, "Oh my God, Matt's coming, that's sweet." I nodded, said, "Yeah, the more the merrier." Inside I was counting the minutes. Thursday, her doctor's appointment gave me another knife. The OB mentioned a due date that was 2 weeks earlier than Claire had told my mom, and when I raised an eyebrow Claire giggled, "You know, cycles are weird, don't overthink it." In the parking lot she kissed me and said, "You're going to be an amazing dad," and I almost said, "To whose kid?" but I kept the mask on. That night I called Chris, laid out the plan in detail. "I need a clean HDMI feed for the TV, audio loud, no fuck-ups," I said, pacing my office. "I'll cue a slideshow, then cut to the results and the recordings." He whistled. "You're going to nuke her life on home turf." "No," I said, "I'm going to tell the truth in front of every person she chose to lie to." We tested the deck 3 times, I printed the paternity result on heavy paper like a diploma and put it in a nice white envelope with a bow, because if we're doing theater, we're doing theater. Friday night, another crack. Claire's best friend, Jenna, came over with mocktails and gossip. They didn't know I was working in the next room with the door cracked. Jenna said, "So, will he freak if Matt shows?" Claire snorted, "Please, he thinks Matt's harmless. Besides, after the shower I'll need some space to process. 2 weeks tops." Jenna whispered, "And then?" Claire, "Then I'll realize I can't be with a man who doesn't accept me and the baby unconditionally." Jenna low, "You mean him?" Claire even lower, "I mean Matt." My heart turned to glass and then to a blade. I recorded all of it. Later, when Jenna left, Claire curled into me on the couch, put my hand on her belly and whispered, "He's strong, feel that?" I stared at her and said, "Yeah, strong." In my head I added, "Just like the punchline." Saturday morning I set the final trap. While Claire was at the salon, I used her unlocked iPad to airdrop a single photo to Matt's number, the invitation card with a sticky note that read, "You should come." I deleted the sent item, wiped the recent list, put the iPad back, then drove to the venue early with Chris to run cables. The hall looked like a Pinterest fever dream, pastel balloons, boy or girl, banners, a giant backdrop that said Baby Thompson, which made bile rise in my throat. I taped the envelope with the test result under the podium, checked the projector one more time, and asked the event manager to hand me the mic right before the games. She smiled and said, "Dad-to-be speech?" I smiled back, something like that. On my way out, I saw a gift table already filling up, and right on top was a bag with sleek black tissue and a card that said, "For our little meteor." I froze, pulled the card an inch out. Inside, neat handwriting, "Can't wait to meet you. M." I shoved it back, hands shaking, and texted Chris, "He's coming." Chris replied, "Good. Let him stand where everyone can see." I went home to change, found Claire in the bedroom staring at herself in the mirror, hands on her belly, tears in her eyes. She turned and said, "I don't know why I'm crying, hormones I guess. Promise me tomorrow won't be weird?" I stepped in, hugged her, kissed her hair and said, "I promise tomorrow will be unforgettable." She laughed, wiped her cheeks and whispered, "I love you." I said, "I know." That night, just before I tried to sleep, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. I answered and a man cleared his throat. "Is this Claire's husband?" he asked. My back went rigid. "Who's this?" I said. The voice hesitated, then, "My name is Dr. Patel. I'm the one who handled the test request for a Matthew Collins. He asked about postnatal paternity procedures and mentioned your wife's due date. I thought you should know." I stared at the ceiling, the room spinning, and said, "What did he say exactly?" The doctor took a breath and said, "He said if you cause trouble, he has a way to make the paperwork fit." My throat went dry. "What paperwork?" I asked. The line crackled and the doctor whispered, "The birth certificate." Then he hung up, and while I was still processing that, my doorbell rang, and when I checked the camera, Matt was on my porch with a fucking gift bag and a smile. I didn't open the door at first, I just stood there in the hallway staring at the camera feed, Matt rocking on his heels like he owned the place, holding that shiny gift bag with a smug little grin. My pulse was thundering in my ears, my fists clenched so tight they ached. Part of me wanted to swing the door open and beat the shit out of him right there on the porch, but another part whispered, "Not yet. Not before the show." So I waited, watched him knock again, then pull out his phone, probably texting Claire that he had dropped something off. After a few minutes he left, the smile never leaving his face, and I stood there trembling until his car disappeared down the street. When I finally went inside, Claire was humming in the kitchen, prepping little treat boxes for the shower, and she said, "Someone just dropped something off, did you see?" I forced a yawn and muttered, "Probably Amazon." She smiled and went back to tying ribbons, while I stared at her back thinking, "You lying bitch, you have no idea what's coming." The next morning the venue was packed. Streamers, pastel balloons, family members buzzing, her friends squealing, co-workers clapping me on the back saying, "Congrats man, you're gonna be a great dad." Every word was acid in my ears. Claire floated around in a floral dress, glowing, kissing cheeks, rubbing her belly like she was on a fucking stage. And then I saw him. Matt. Standing near the refreshment table in a button-down shirt, chatting with her co-workers like he belonged there, like he wasn't the other man. My blood boiled, but I smiled, shook hands, hugged relatives, played my part. Inside, the storm was seconds from breaking. At one point Claire wrapped her arm around me and whispered, "This is perfect, isn't it?" I kissed her forehead and said, "Yeah, perfect." Then I looked straight over her shoulder at Matt and smirked. He noticed. His smile faltered. We played through the stupid shower games, the diaper relay, the guess the baby food challenge. Everyone was laughing, filming, having a great time. Claire leaned on me, pretending we were this picture-perfect couple, and I kept nodding, laughing, clapping along. But my eyes never left the podium. I knew what was coming. Finally, the host clapped her hands and said, "All right, before cake, the proud dad-to-be wants to say a few words." Claire clapped, squealing, "Ah, babe, you didn't tell me." She kissed my cheek and I walked up to the mic with the envelope burning in my pocket. The hall hushed. I smiled, thanked everyone for coming, said how grateful we were for the love and support. Claire's eyes glistened, her mom dabbed her cheeks, and Matt even had the audacity to nod like he respected me. Then I said, "We put together a little video for today to celebrate this new chapter." Chris dimmed the lights, the projector flickered on, and the slideshow started. Soft music, photos of us through the years, vacations, our engagement, ultrasound shots. The crowd smiled, clapped, some even wiped tears. Claire squeezed her belly dramatically, beaming. And then the music cut. The screen went black. Static. Then a clip of Claire's voice, "He thinks it's his." Gasps rippled through the room. Then Matt's voice, "As long as he pays for it." The screen lit up with the screenshots from her phone, the selfies in the hotel, the timestamp circled. Laughter gone. Dead silence. Claire froze in her chair, her hands dropping from her belly. "No," she whispered, too soft for anyone but me to hear. The next clip rolled, her voice again, "I'll need space after the shower. 2 weeks tops. Then I'll realize I can't be with a man who doesn't accept me and the baby unconditionally." Jenna's voice chimed in, "You mean him?" Claire's whisper, "I mean Matt." Screams, gasps, chaos. Someone dropped a glass. Her father stood up, red-faced, veins bulging. Matt shifted uncomfortably, sweat breaking out on his forehead. Claire leapt up, ran to the stage, grabbed my arm hissing, "Turn it off please, don't do this here." I pulled the mic closer and said, loud enough for everyone, "This baby isn't mine." Gasps again, louder, people shouting, her mother sobbing. I yanked the envelope from under the podium, held it high and said, "This is the paternity test. 0%. She's been lying to me, to all of you, for months." Claire shook her head frantically, tears streaming down her face. "He's lying. It's fake, he made it up." But the crowd wasn't buying it, not after hearing her voice on the tape. Someone shouted, "Show us." I ripped open the envelope, held the paper up to the projector camera. The words glared across the big screen. 0% probability of paternity. The hall erupted, people shouting, some booing, some crying. Claire collapsed on the floor, sobbing, screaming, "Please, please, it's not true." Matt tried to leave, but half the crowd turned on him, blocking the exit, yelling, "How could you?" and "Piece of shit." Claire's father stormed the stage, ripped the mic from me and yelled, "How fucking dare you humiliate us like this?" He turned on Claire, "And you lied to all of us, you disgraced this family." She crawled toward me on her knees, grabbing at my leg, shrieking, "Please, please don't do this to me, I love you, it's always been you." I bent down, leaned close to her ear and whispered, "No, it's always been him. And now everyone knows." Then I stepped back, dropped the mic, and watched her world shatter in front of everyone she cared about. The second the paper hit the screen, the room exploded into chaos, people shouting, crying, grabbing their phones to record. Claire was on the floor clutching my pant leg, mascara streaking down her cheeks, her hair sticking to her face as she sobbed, "Please, please, it's not like that, it was a mistake, I swear it's yours." I yanked my leg free, staring at her like she was a stranger. Matt tried to slip through the crowd, but Chris and a couple of my cousins stepped in front of him. "Going somewhere?" Chris sneered. Matt's face flushed red, he stammered, "This isn't the time, I should go." My dad stormed up, shoved Matt hard in the chest and barked, "You fucking coward, you come here smiling, knowing what you did?" Matt stumbled back, nearly tripping over a chair. Claire screamed, "Stop it, stop, you're making it worse." I grabbed the mic again, voice shaking but loud, "Worse? You carried another man's baby and tried to trap me into raising it, and you're worried about worse." The crowd roared, some booing, some yelling insults at her. Claire's mom collapsed into her husband's arms, sobbing uncontrollably, while her father looked like he was about to pass out. Then Jake, "No, Matt," finally snapped. He shoved Chris aside and shouted, "Fine. Yeah, it's mine. She loves me, not you. You were too blind to see it." The room gasped. Claire screamed, "Matt, shut the fuck up." He turned on her, "Why? It's true. You told me you'd leave him, you told me we'd be together, you told me he was pathetic." Claire's face twisted with horror as the crowd turned completely against her. People were yelling, "Trash. Whore. Piece of shit." My mom was crying into her hands, whispering, "Oh God, not again." I stood frozen, watching the two of them unravel. Matt tried to grab Claire's hand, but she slapped him away, shrieking, "You ruined it, you ruined everything." He laughed bitterly, spitting blood from a split lip where someone must have hit him. "No, you ruined it when you couldn't even be honest. You wanted us both. You wanted the security and the fun. Now you've got nothing." Claire wailed, pounding the floor with her fists, screaming, shut up, I can fix this." Her father bellowed, "There is no fixing this. You humiliated us in front of everyone." He turned to me, face red, veins bulging, "I'm sorry, son. I don't know what else to say." I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Don't apologize to me. Apologize to your grandchild's real father." Gasps again, sharper this time, and I pointed at Matt. "That's his baby, not mine. Not mine." I pulled the test paper from the screen, crumpled it in my fist, and threw it at Matt's chest. He caught it, stared down, and his smirk finally died. The silence that followed was thick, broken only by Claire's sobs. Then suddenly she lunged at me, clawing at my shirt, screaming, "No. You're supposed to be the father, you promised me forever." I shoved her back, my voice booming, Forever ended the second you opened your legs for him. People gasped, someone shouted, Jesus Christ, but no one stepped in. Claire collapsed again, screaming while Matt finally bolted for the door. This time nobody stopped him. The crowd parted, hurling curses, some guests even throwing napkins and cups at his back as he fled. I stood on the stage breathing like I'd run a marathon, sweat dripping, hands trembling, the mic buzzing in my grip. Claire lay on the floor in her dress, sobbing into her hands, her father pacing like a caged animal, her mother wailing, the guests stunned. And then, slowly, I lifted the mic one last time and said, "This baby shower was supposed to celebrate a lie. Instead, it's the funeral of one." Then I dropped the mic and walked out, leaving Claire screaming my name, her family broken, and the whole hall buzzing like a hive of angry wasps. I thought walking out would be the end, but of course nothing is ever that easy. I barely made it to the parking lot when I heard her voice echoing behind me, raw and desperate. "Wait. Please wait." I turned and there was Claire, her dress dragging through gravel, mascara streaked like war paint, clutching her stomach with one hand and reaching for me with the other. "Don't you fucking touch me," I growled, my whole body shaking. She stumbled closer anyway, crying, "I can explain, I didn't mean for this to happen, it was a mistake, he means nothing to me, I love you." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "A mistake? Pregnant by another man isn't a mistake, Claire, it's a fucking choice." She collapsed against the hood of my car, sobbing, her shoulders shaking. People had followed us out, phone still recording, whispering. Her father pushed through the crowd, grabbed her arm and barked, "Get in the car, Claire. You've humiliated us enough for one day." She shrieked back at him, "Dad, please help me. Tell him this doesn't matter, tell him we can fix it." But he just stared at her like she was a stranger. "You lied to all of us. You disgraced us." He turned to me, his face heavy with shame, and muttered, "I'm sorry, son. I thought you two were happy." I said nothing, just opened my car door. That's when Claire snapped, lunged forward, grabbed my wrist with surprising strength and screamed, "You can't leave me. I need you. He won't stay, he doesn't want this baby, but you promised me forever." My voice broke into a roar. "I promised forever to my wife, not to a fucking liar carrying another man's kid." Gasps rippled through the crowd, her grip loosened, and she fell to her knees in the dirt, sobbing uncontrollably. I got in the car, slammed the door, and for the first time in months felt air fill my lungs properly. But as I pulled out, I saw Matt's car parked across the lot, engine running, his face pale as death behind the wheel. He didn't even look at her, just drove away. He left her there, broken and wailing, and somehow that was the cruelest cut of all. Later that night she tried calling me, 57 missed calls, endless voicemails. Some were crying, some begging, some furious threats like, "If you leave me I'll ruin you, I'll tell everyone you abandoned your child." I didn't answer. I sat on my couch with a beer, replaying the clips, the test, her voice. Every time I thought of her belly I wanted to punch a hole in the wall. Around midnight there was banging at my door. I checked the peephole, Claire again, barefoot, dress torn, eyes wild. She was screaming, "Let me in. We can fix this. Please, I'll do anything, just don't leave me." Neighbors came out, watching, someone yelled to call the cops. I opened the door a crack and said low and cold, "Go home, Claire. There is nothing left." She sobbed, reached through the gap, tried to touch my face, but I slammed the door shut. A few minutes later flashing lights showed up, cops pulling her away as she kicked and screamed. They asked if I wanted to press charges for harassment. I said no, not yet. Let her drown in her own mess first. The next morning my phone buzzed with a message from Jenna, her best friend. All it said was, "I'm so sorry." She told me she had it under control. I didn't know it would blow up like that. I stared at it, then typed back, "You knew enough." I blocked her too. For the first time in years I felt like I was in control. But something told me this wasn't the last I'd hear from Claire, and I was right, because 3 days later I got served with papers. She was filing for spousal support, claiming I abandoned her while pregnant. And right there I knew the war wasn't over, it had only just fucking begun. When the papers hit my doorstep I almost laughed. The audacity was insane. Claire standing in front of a judge pretending to be some abandoned angel while carrying another man's baby. I called Chris that night, tossed the envelope onto his counter and said, "She really thinks she can bleed me dry." He scanned the paperwork and whistled. "Spousal support, prenatal care, even damages for emotional distress? She's out of her fucking mind." I smirked, sipping my beer. Good thing I've got recordings. So we lawyered up. My attorney nearly spit her coffee when I laid out the evidence. Audio of Claire admitting the baby wasn't mine, screenshots of her with Matt, the paternity results printed like a goddamn diploma. She leaned back in her chair and said, "This won't just get her case dismissed. This will bury her credibility." Court day came fast. Claire walked in looking frail, hair pinned, maternity dress flowing, crocodile tears ready to go. Matt wasn't with her, of course not, but her parents sat behind her, faces stone cold, not even making eye contact. My mom was there too, gripping my hand, whispering, "Whatever happens, you did the right thing." Claire's lawyer spun some fairy tale about me being insecure, paranoid, controlling. Claimed I fabricated evidence, hacked her phone, twisted her words. Then it was my turn. My attorney played the audio of her voice. "He thinks it's his." The courtroom went dead silent. Played the clip of her whispering to Jenna, "I mean Matt." Gasps, whispers, the judge raising an eyebrow. Then we displayed the paternity test on the big screen. 0% probability. Claire's face drained of color. She stood up, crying, yelling, "He manipulated it. He's lying. I never said that." The judge banged the gavel, told her to sit down. Then my attorney calmly handed over the printed photos, her and Matt cozy in the hotel, time-stamped. The judge looked at Claire and said flatly, "I suggest you reconsider your position." Her lawyer slumped like a man already defeated. Claire broke, sobbing, "It was a mistake, I just needed comfort, he was never supposed to know." Her voice cracked, echoing in the courtroom. The judge dismissed her petition in less than 10 minutes and turned to me, "You're free of obligation. No support, no paternity responsibility." Claire screamed, "You can't do this. He's still my husband, he owes me." The judge cut her off, "What he owes you, ma'am, is honesty, and you failed him." Case closed. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, because of course someone had leaked the story, "Baby shower from hell" trending all over social media. Headlines, "Cheating mom exposed at shower, paternity shocker goes viral." Claire covered her face, sobbing, while Matt was photographed slinking into a bar that night, drunk off his ass. My phone buzzed nonstop, coworkers, old friends, even strangers messaging, "Saw your story, good for you, man." But the messages that hit hardest were from her own family. Her father texted me, "I'm sorry for what she did to you. She's not the daughter I thought she was." Her mother called, sobbing, "Please forgive us, we didn't know." I thanked them politely, but inside I felt nothing. They raised her, they let her rot. A week later, Matt tried to confront me outside my office, red-eyed, reeking of whiskey. "You ruined me, man," he slurred. "Everyone thinks I'm trash." I stared him down and said, "You did that yourself." He lunged, tried to swing, but my coworkers pulled him off before I even moved. The cops hauled him away for disorderly conduct. Claire called me the next day, voice shaking, whispering, "He's gone, he left me, I don't know what to do, please, I need you, I'm sorry, I'll do anything." I listened in silence, then said, "Raise his kid. Alone." Then I hung up and blocked her for good. I thought that would be the last of it, but I underestimated her desperation because a month later I got another call, from the hospital. Claire had gone into labor and somehow, some fucking way they still listed me as the emergency contact. The call from the hospital hit me like a sledgehammer. I was at work, finally breathing normal again, when my phone buzzed and a nurse said, "Mr. Thompson? Your wife is in labor, please come quickly." My stomach dropped, then twisted into rage. "She's not my wife anymore," I snapped, "and that child isn't mine." The nurse hesitated, "Sir, you're still listed as her emergency contact." I laughed bitterly, "Of course I am." I hung up, sat at my desk for a long moment, then grabbed my keys and drove, not because I cared but because I wanted to see this circus through to the end. When I walked into the maternity ward, Claire was screaming, drenched in sweat, clutching the rails, her parents at her side. Her mom gasped when she saw me, whispered, "He came." Claire's eyes lit up, full of desperate hope. "You came?" she sobbed, reaching for me. I stayed by the door, arms crossed. "Don't flatter yourself. I came to make sure my name isn't on that paperwork." Her face crumpled, but before she could speak another contraction hit and she screamed bloody murder. Hours later the baby arrived, a boy, tiny and red, wailing his lungs out. The doctor smiled, handed him to Claire, and she looked at me with tears in her eyes. Look at him. He could be yours. Please, can't we just—" I cut her off. "No. He's not mine and we both know it." The room went silent except for the baby's cries. Her father shook his head, muttering, "God help us." Then the nurse asked for the paperwork. Claire whispered, panicked, "Put his name down please, put him as the father." The nurse looked at me, pen hovering. I stepped forward, pulled the pen from her hand and wrote in big bold letters across the line, "Not the father." Gasps echoed. Claire screamed, "No. Please don't do this, don't abandon me." I leaned close, my voice ice cold. I'm not abandoning you. I'm freeing myself. I tossed the clipboard onto her lap, turned and walked out. Cameras flashed outside the hospital, reporters shouting questions, but I didn't stop. Over the next few weeks the fallout was nuclear. Photos of Claire in the hospital, alone with the baby, hit the internet. Headlines screamed, "Infidelity scandal ends in delivery room, ex-husband refuses paternity." Social media tore her apart. People called her a liar, a manipulator, a cheater. Matt? He disappeared. Quit his job, deleted his socials, rumor had it he moved 2 states over. Coward. Claire tried reaching me again, sending letters, begging for forgiveness, saying the baby deserved a father. I burned every envelope without opening them. I was done. My attorney made sure the birth certificate was corrected, my name nowhere near it. The judge finalized the divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, but really everyone knew what that meant. At work I was promoted, people respected me for standing my ground, for not being another man's fool. Friends I hadn't heard from in years reached out, some to congratulate me, some to ask if it was really true. I told them all the same thing, yes. And I'd do it all again. But the best part? My dad. He came over one night, sat across from me at the kitchen table, tears in his eyes. "Son," he said, voice shaking, "I never told you enough how proud I am. But the way you handled this, the strength you showed, you're stronger than I ever was." I didn't cry, but something in me finally healed hearing that. 4 months afterward, I sometimes dreamed of the baby, wondered if he'd grow up to know the truth, to hate his parents for what they did. But then I'd wake up, breathe and remind myself, that wasn't my burden anymore. That wasn't my blood. My story didn't end in chains, it ended in fire. And as I look back now, I realize I didn't just expose her lies. I killed the version of me that let people walk over him, that believed love without respect was enough. And from those ashes I built something new. Claire lost everything, Matt lost everything, but me? I gained my freedom. And if I ever doubt myself, I remember the look on her face at that shower, at that hospital, when the truth finally crushed her. That's the look of someone who thought they'd won, only to watch their entire empire turn to ash in one fucking night.